What's going on, everybody? Austin here. Today we're going to be talking about the 5 things that I hate about this Camaro 1LE. And, well, when I say I hate them, I don't really hate anything about this car. There's just some things that after owning it for a couple of years that I wish were different. So, with that being said, we'll just jump right into it. And we're going to go ahead and start out with my number one thing. And these aren't really necessary in order, one being the biggest dealer by any means. But we're going to go ahead and start out with the gauges in this car. Now, the gauges in this car are pretty cool because they got a retro look to them. And the gauges I'm talking about that I don't like are the ones down here below the screen and just right in front of the shifter here. And it's the oil temperature, transmission temperature, battery voltage, and oil pressure. So those gauges are pretty useful, obviously, and they're just in an awkward spot to where it's hard to look at them when you're, if you're going at a high rate of speed, which I never do. But the oil temperature and transmission temperature, luckily, are the ones closer to me, so I can actually see them a little bit better than the ones in the back, which are kind of hidden by the screen almost because it drops down. And so, it's one of those things that is cool because it kind of goes with the early Gen 1 Camaros, like the 60s, and they had those gauges down there. And unfortunately, it just doesn't I don't even know a good word to say it. It's not very user-friendly. So, with that being said, they work great, and it's just one of those things that I don't necessarily love anymore about the car like I did when I first got it. So we're going to go ahead and jump into number 2 here, and we're going to stick with the interior for now, and that's the seats. Now, the seats in this car are actually very comfortable, and I've taken it on road trips, and I never get out. I never drive it and get out and I'm like dying because of back pain, like, oh Jesus, because trust me, I've drove cars like that and it sucks. The reason I don't like these seats as much is because when somebody rolls up next to me and they're in like a ZL1 or like a Z28 even, and they got those Recaro seats, it's like, it just kills me inside that I don't have those. They just look so much cooler and more aggressive, and they fit this car personality more than the ones that are in it right now. So I don't know if those seats were even available for this car because it's just an SS with the 1LE package on it, and I don't know what the options were, or if it was even an option to put those seats in this car. So that's one of those things that's kind of out of my control, and you just got to deal with it because I'm sure as hell not paying for new seats to get put in this thing. We'll just buy a new car if I'm going to do that. So that would be number 2. Number 3, we're going to jump to the exterior here for a second. And, this is like the worst blind spot in town. So, okay, we're good. Alright, so where was I? Exterior, number 3 here. That is, hey, a Z01. Ironic. Nice. That is the lights in this car, or on the outside, I should say. Now, the headlights are awesome because they are the HID halos, whatever you want to call them. I'm sure everybody's seen them by now. They're pretty awesome looking, and those I love. It's the running lights on the very bottom. They're like fog lights. I swear they're lights from like the 90s era of cars, which is the worst era of cars in my opinion. So I hate that those are on this car, especially because the technology was there to put nice, high-end they're not headlights, like running lights, considering that they put the those halo headlights in to begin with. For the actual headlights, you'd think that they would put those for those running lights, but they didn't. Luckily, the little light switch down here, you flip it up 1 notch and you can go straight into the the halo ring headlights. I don't know what they're called, so sorry, hopefully you guys understand what I'm talking about. But you can go straight into those and run with those in the daytime, which I think look pretty cool. And that's usually, if I remember, I flip that on when I get in the car, just because I think it looks a little bit more aggressive. And like I've said before, fits the personality of the car better than those other ones. So that I just wish that they would have put different type of lights. Now they did it in the 2014 model because this is a 13. They put the the higher end headlights or running lights in those spots for 2014. However, this one doesn't have it. I wish they would have put it in one. I wish they would have put it in this car, and two, I wish that they could make, or they would have made the running lights just those halos. That is just the option that I would go for. So that'd be my number 3. Number 4 is kind of a weird one, because it's something that I really do love about this car, and they're fantastic. However, they bring an issue to this car, and unfortunately, that is the tires. Now, the tires, get through this Tesla. Let's do a pull here real quick so you guys can not hear me talk. Second gear pull. Oh, that's fantastic. That'll make anybody's day better. So, the tires on this car, as you just saw, grip great. When it's warm out, it's 87 degrees right now, they perform fantastic. When it's cold, not so much. That part really does suck, because I live in Wyoming where it's cold like 70-80% of the time. And so when they're cold, they don't perform all that great. But my real pet peeve on them, or about them, is the fact that they throw rocks everywhere. They're sticky, which is great because you don't slide around, but in order to be sticky, they grab everything in their path and they throw it down the side of your car, and it just thrashes the car. And it sucks because I didn't get this thing clear broad, and it's one of those things that I really wish I would have done now, but there's nothing I can do about it now. There's rock chips on it, and it is what it is. But it's just really frustrating when you clean the car and it looks really really clean, and then you're drying it off and you see like little chips on it, and it just like eats away at me inside. Like every time I clean it, I just get mad about it. So that is a love-hate relationship I have with these tires. Not to mention, this car has 15,034 miles on it, and they are about as bald can get. And I don't drive this car that hard. It's kind of my daily driver in the summertime. I go to the house, to the office, to the gym, and back home. And, I don't really, every once in a while, do what I did or do this and get on it. But really, it's just regular type driving, and they are just, they do not last whatsoever. But, that's what you pay for, I guess, of the vehicle like this. So, the next thing, and the reason I saved this one for last is because, as you might be able to tell, I hope you can tell with the sound at least, this car is not stock. And number 5 goes back to when it was stock. And the reason I'm putting it in here is because I just got this car back about 2 months ago, and I had some work done to it to upgrade the power, and that was number 5. Is it just really lacked in power. It's a heavy car, as everybody knows. It is what is this? Sorry, this guy's I'm going 30 now, and it's a 50-mile-an-hour zone, so we're probably going to pass him when I get around this corner. So the power was 426 horsepower from the factory, and that's at the engine. So here we go. Do a little pull here. That never gets old, I swear. It's awesome. So back to it. We were at 426 horsepower from the factory, and that is at the crank. So really, you lose like 15%, I think is what they say. So really I was at like 375, I guess. And then I live in Wyoming, where I live at 5,000 feet above sea level, so I lose another probably a handful of horsepower there. I was probably like 350 horsepower at the wheels, maybe, and that's probably on the high end. So now, now I'm at 550 horsepower at the wheels, and it's just it runs so much better, and it really, and I'm going to go back to the point I made before. it fits the car better. The aggressive look of this car and the stance it has, people expected it just to rip everybody's doors off, and it didn't. You know, just to be honest, it didn't. It weighed too much, and you know, it was geared differently, so it didn't have quite the. It's geared differently because of the 1LE package, so it didn't have quite the top end speed. It had a lot more like torque almost. You know, coming out of corners, you could really rip on it and do great, but it lacked, unfortunately, and you know, that's something that always bugged me, and I'm so glad it's taken care of now. So now we're at 550 horsepower at the wheels, and now we'll just rip the doors off of some things in town. And obviously there's always going to be faster people, but that's okay. I love the way it sounds, I love the way it performs, and with that being said, you know, that's going to lead me into my next video. We're going to do a video about the 5 things that I love about this car, and that's going to be even more difficult than this one was. We're probably going to make categories and just list off things in that category that I love. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Leave me some feedback on what you want to see, and any questions you have, I'd love to answer them either in the comments or with the video. So thank you so much again for watching. Hope you have a great day. Do a little pull here first. There we go. All right, guys, take it easy.